Hi, writers. Thanks for joining back in to the very last writing lesson. And honestly, I don't have another writing lesson for you today because the last writing lesson will be in our live class when we share. So based on that, I have some free time, and I thought since we were talking about book recommendations and reading, that I would model for you how fun it is to take a book recommendation that someone, suggested. I've had several people in class tell me that they got the sequel to The One and Only Ivan. And their book recommendations were so good that when I was at Costco and I saw The One and Only Bob, I thought, oh, I love book recommendations because you already know the book's going to be amazing. Someone you know said so. So here we go, a little bonus. In the very beginning, there are some sketches of the dog and a glossary. So some of you have the book, but I know not everybody does. This one says, let's play, life's good, get lost. I'm scared, I'm cool, I surrender. And then there's a glossary of words so that we know what they mean when they get used. A bed boogie, it's a circular dance, and it's performed by dogs before settling into bed. Probably a primitive nesting behavior. My dog just did that today. Co-pilot, it's a dog riding in car, often with head poking out of an open window. You can see also drool flag. We'll get to that one in a minute. A crazy mutt is an exuberant greeting ritual. It's totally my dog too. A drool flag. Okay, so this is visible tongue protrusion. That's when a dog's tongue sticks out of their mouth. Frequently displayed during co-piloting or meal preparation. Frap. This is all in capital letters because it means frenetic, random activity period. A synonym for zoomies, just going all over the place. Full wag, it's the happiest tail position. A relaxed circular swish, sometimes including hip waggles. Fur on alert, it's the raised hair on a dog's neck and back. An involuntary reaction often caused by fright or aggression. The head tilt, the quizzical look employed to charm gullible humans. Leave it. I'm already dying. The world's worst command, especially when applied to food. I say that to my dog all the time. I bet he feels the same way. Okay, this one we know from The One and Only Bob. Meatball, the dried excrement thrown at observers, and that origin was gorilla, informal. Okay, a play bow, that's the potty position with elbows down and rear up, signaling an invitation to have fun. Rhymes with pet threat. Vet, and otherwise kind human armed with thermometers and needles. Tailspin. Okay, there's two. One, chase involuntary and flexible appendage attached to the rear of most canines, their tail. Number two, informal, an embarrassing or, I don't even know that word, quixotic effort. I'll have to figure out that one later. Toe twitcher, a dream, often squirrel focused, resulting in foot movement. Tug of war string, a long, though never long enough, piece of fabric or leather used to lead humans during walks. Tug of war string. UFO, okay, one, unidentified food object, often found under kitchen tables or couch cushions. Two, unidentified floor object, hopefully edible. And three, unidentified flying object, ideally a stick, flying disc, or slobber-covered tennis ball. water bowl of power. 1, jumbo-sized ceramic dish. 2, uncomfortable human chair generally found in bathrooms. Drinking out of the toilet bowl. Zoomies, sudden bursts of energy, usually involving chaotic dashes through the house, also known as frap. And now we get to chapter 1. This one's called Confession. Look, nobody's ever accused me of being a good dog. I bark at empty air, I eat cat litter, I roll in garbage to enhance my aroma. I harass innocent squirrels, I hog the couch, I lick myself in the presence of company. I'm no saint, okay? This one's called And While I'm at It. I may or may not have eaten a pepperoni pizza with anchovies when nobody was looking. Also, I may or may not have eaten a coconut vanilla birthday cake when nobody was looking. Also, I may or may not have eaten a Thanksgiving turkey, except for the stuffing, way too much rosemary, when nobody was looking. Nobody looking. That seems to be the common thread. As they say on the crime shows, motive and opportunity. This one's called Robert. Name's Bob. I'm a mutt of uncertain heritage. Definitely some Chihuahua and a smidgen of Papillon on my father's side. You're probably thinking I'm some wimpy lapdog, the kind you see poking out of an old lady's purse like a hairy keychain. But size ain't everything. It's swagger, attitude. You gotta have the moves. Probably I should have been named Bruiser or Bam Bam or Bandit, but Bob's what I got and Bob'll do me just fine. Julia named me. Long time ago. She's my girl. She calls me Robert when I get on her nerves. Happens pretty often, to be honest. This one's called Numero Uno. There's an old saying about us dogs. Goes like this. It's no coincidence that man's best friend can't talk. Let me tell you something. If we could talk to people, they'd get an earful. You ever hear anyone mention man being dog's best friend? Nope, didn't think so. Way I've always figured it, end of the day, you gotta be your own best friend. Look out for numero uno. Learned that one the hard way. That's not to say I don't have a best pal. I do. Gorilla, name of Ivan, big guy. Big guy and I go way, way back. Gorilla and dog. Yep, I know. You don't see that every day. Long story. I love that big ol' ape. Ditto our little elephant friend, Ruby. They're the best. This one's called How We Met. The first time I met Ivan, I was a homeless puppy, desperate, starving, all alone. It was in the middle of the night and I'd slipped into the mall where Ivan lived in a cage. I wandered a bit, grateful for the warmth, confused by the weird assortment of sleeping animals I found there, checking every trash can for anything edible. There was a small hole in the corner of Ivan's enclosure. He was fast asleep, cuddled up with a worn stuffed animal that looked like a wary gorilla. He was snoring, and man, that guy snored like a pro. In his open palm was a chunk of banana, and I still get shivers when I think about this. I ate it right out of his hand. Guy could have squeezed his fingers shut and I would have popped like a puppy balloon, but he just kept on sleeping. And then, more shivers, I am either a maniac or the bravest dog on the planet, probably a little of both. I hopped up onto that big, round, furry tummy of his. That's right, I climbed Mount Ivan. Crazy, I know, I have no idea what I was thinking. Maybe I was so exhausted I went a little bonkers. Maybe he just looked so warm and cozy that I figured it was worth taking a chance. I did my bed boogie. Dogs don't feel right until we do a quick dance before settling. Once I had things just so, I lay down in a little puppy lump and rode the waves on that tummy like a puny boat on a great brown sea. When Ivan opened his morning. He didn't seem surprised in the least to find a puppy snoozing on his belly. He refused to move until I woke up. I think he was as glad as I was to have found a new friend. Here's a little sketch of them. Amazing history of man's best friend. Before long, me and Ivan were best buddies. We're an unlikely pair, sure. Ivan's calm and serene, a philosopher and artist. I wish I could be more like that. No one's ever accused me of being level-headed. Hot-headed, sure. And I can't talk pretty like Ivan can. I'm a street dog after all, and proud of it. Still, we clicked in a way I never had with humans. Man's best friend? No way. Gorilla's best friend? You bet. Seems to me the first time I ever heard that phrase, man's best friend, was while I was watching TV with Ivan. Back in the day, Ivan had this little television and we watched a lot of stuff together. Old movies, westerns, cartoons, you name it. Poor guy was stuck in a cage, didn't have a lot else to do except throw meatballs at gaping humans. Anyways, me and Ivan, big fans of the tube. Cat food commercials, pro bowling, Dancing with the Stars. What's not to like? Once we watched this special on the Nature Channel. It was called The Amazing History of Man's Best Friend. Show was all about famous dogs. There were rescue dogs and therapy dogs and war dogs and fire dogs and movie dogs and this dog and that dogs. And between you and me, most of them were just plain overachievers. Then they got to this dog named Hatch something or other, Hatchet Toe maybe? Seems his owner died. For the record, I object to the word owner, but we'll set that aside for now. And Hatch something or other sat around for 9 years in the same spot at the same station, day after day, waiting for him to return. Thing is, the narrator guy was blabbing on and on about this dog, really over-the-top stuff. How loyal, how loving. Break out the Kleenex, blah, 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 wah, 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 man's best friend. They made a statue of this dog. I kid you not. A statue of the dog who sat around 9 years waiting for a dead guy. This one's called In My Opinion. That dog was a ninny, a numbskull, a nincompoop. This one's called I'm Yours. Let me tell you about being man's best friend. Being man's best friend can mean a lot of things. Companionship, belly rubs, tennis balls. But it can also mean a dark, endless highway and an open truck window. It can mean the smell of the wet wind as hands grab the box you're in with your brothers and sisters and you go sailing into the unkind night and still, crazy as it sounds, you're thinking, but I'm yours, I'm yours, I'm yours. This one's called No One. That's what's being man's best friend can get you. A black highway, an empty box, and no one in the world but you. This one's called Early Days. I don't remember much about my early puppy days. It was 3 years ago, but sometimes it feels like 300. Mostly I recall fighting with my sibs for the primo meal spot, lots of squirming and squeaking, everything soft and milk-smelling and movable, like we were one great big complicated animal. I never met my dad, and my mom didn't say much about him except that he was trouble. Mom had a beautiful fawn coat, Chihuahua, some this, some that, nice, messy bloodline. Mutts rule. Mom crooned us, told us stories, laid down the law. I wonder if she knew she didn't have much time to prepare us for the world. We were born in a dark place, probably under some Porch stairs, I suspect, since I remember the sound of boots plodding up and down and biting the ugly smell of human feet. They call my mom Rio, and they fed her most days, though sometimes she had to fend for herself. She never showed fear toward them or respect. Indifference, I guess you'd say. Unless you tried to handle one of us, unless they tried to handle one of us, she growled then, hoping to make it clear that we were hers and hers alone. I myself got picked up a couple of times. The hands reached in, grabbed. They were rough and smelled of strange scents, bitter and meaty. My mom's growl made me fearless, and I wiggled and yipped. The hands shoved me back to the warm place where I could sleep and drink and dream in safety. Still, I understood in my simple puppy way that dogs belonged to humans, and that was how it would always be. All right, we'll have to pause there, and we'll pick up next time on page 20. Hope you're enjoying the bonus.